key thing is that when they do it at home, what do? You have to have some form of discipline, and it starts at home. That when they get up in the public, they know how to act. And I have seen many handicapped children sit down at the table at restaurants and sit down and eat. This is normal. Don't act up or anything. And of course, I've seen some in the opposite way, where they just act up and the parents, the family couldn't enjoy their meal or couldn't enjoy the time that they were spending. So the key thing is that what do you do when they do act out? You have to do something. And we know with older children, you have to treat them like adults, and adults have responsibilities. This discussion, I was thinking about this discussion that had came up in the past about taking in children that's not there. And one particular person said that they wouldn't take in children without having papers, because they didn't want to take in anyone's children without any benefits. They will be providing the care, and somebody else will be getting all the benefits. Now, this is how one person feels. Everybody may not feel that way, but people will only do what you let them do, because there are grandmothers or grandparents that raise generations of, and we're talking about grandparents raising grandchildren. We know that there are grandmothers that are raising generation after generation of grandchildren. Not because the parent of the child were going through anything or working or doing something important. They would just have the children, and you see a lot of grandparents, and I'm talking about this because I believe that God wants a lot of grandparents to be delivered and to be set free. And they need to know that there are boundaries, and they have to come to a conclusion or come to a point in life and say, it stops here. It's enough. Because I have a life too. I'm not talking about grandparents that have to step in because their children or their child has a situation going on in their life. God's going to bless them for that. God's going to bless them for that because God expects them to step in a situation like that. But I'm talking about grandparents that don't give their children or their children the opportunity to be parents. And they step in and it's like the child don't know who the parent is. They think the grandmother is their mother. Where the mother is just going on, or the child's mother is just going on about her business and just drop it to grandmother's house. Drop it to the grandparents' house. And they're just going on about their business. And the child is growing up and growing up and growing up, not really knowing and understanding and having that relationship with that mother. And there's nothing wrong with the grandparent being there. But it's important that child know who that mother is, who their mother is, and respect the fact that she know who her mama is, where she lives, and where she's supposed to be as a family with her mother, with her family, with her mother and father as a family, and not always with grandmother, because grandmother has a life, grandmother has a life, and sometimes it seems like it's so harsh or hard. Some grandparents don't keep their grandkids. They really love. You had this child, you're going to take care of this child. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You're not going to work. You're not sick or anything. You're going to take care of your child because you had this child. And that's old school. Parents did that and had the adult parent or that adult child to take their responsibility in being a parent. And we have to continue on with that legacy because there are so many grandparents that are raising their grandkids, and before you know, their life is gone. Their life is gone. They're going from generation to generation, raising grandkids. Now, I know when I was coming up as a young lady, as a child, I used to love going to my grandmother's house. And it would be a house full of just the grandchildren over there. And we used to enjoy. But we stayed there a lot of times. Many times we have stayed there. But I think my parents, our parents of the grandchildren, I think they knew their boundaries. And even my grandmother would say, no, y'all go to your house. Or keep them to their house or whatever. But she used to always enjoy us to go. But she had some boundaries. We wouldn't just stay there day in and day out and didn't know where we lived and didn't know who our mother was. But a lot of grandparents needs to be delivered. And I pray that something will be said to encourage their heart, because a child, your child won't do no more than what you let them. If you continue to let them do and do and do, they will continue to do. But if you love them, you're going to tell them, it's time for you to take responsibility. If you're sick, if you're not feeling well, if you're going to work, I don't mind being a help to you. But for you to just drop the kids over and go on, no. I'm not going to do it no more, because I have a life too. And it comes a time for that. It comes a time for that. So, I think that, like I said earlier, that a child won't do no more than what you let them do. The parents have to they have to understand that, I'm talking about the parents of the child, have to understand that their parents have a life and have compassion. You say, well, she don't have any children. It's not like she have any small children at her house anyway. There's nothing wrong with my child going over there. And there's nothing wrong with it. But when you have taken advantage of her kindness, and don't consider her life, don't consider that maybe she might want to go shopping one day by herself. Or maybe she might want to go out to dinner or go out to lunch. But she can't go because she has your children or your child. Have compassion. Have understanding. And know that you can break the cycle. Grandmama, you can break the cycle. You can break the cycle. And it don't have to continue on, because you do have a life and you do deserve to go forth and live a life. You had your turn. You raised your children. You did all that you knew how to do to raise them. Now it's their turn to raise their children. Don't take that from them. Make it happen by telling them